Welcome to your weekly forecast. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. In these weekly videos, I go over the astrological energies for the week ahead. And in this video, we will be getting into the energy for October 23rd to the 29th, 2023. Now, before I get started, I do just want to apologize in case my voice sounds a little off. I've been moving through a cold and a little bit sick. So I do apologize for that, but thank you so much for joining me. If you align with my energy and enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. So we have a lot going on this week. We have all of our Libra energy that we've been moving through for the first portion of October, the beginning of October, having Mars, Mercury, and the Sun in Libra. Now all that energy shifting into Scorpio. So we had Mars enter Scorpio on the 12th of October. Coming into the week now, we have Mercury in Scorpio. And then on Monday, the 23rd, we have the Sun entering Scorpio. So we have all this Libra energy shifting into Scorpio. So I think that this can be great. Now, Scorpio is an energy where we do want to be mindful of becoming fixated on something. However, it is great for research or investigating something, getting to the bottom of, whatever it is you're kind of moving through. So it can be great. I know I will be doing a lot of research during this time period, but if you need to become laser focused on something and get something done, you definitely have the supportive energy to do so. We also have our dynamic lunar eclipse in Taurus on the 28th at the end of the week. So I will be making a separate video going deep into this energy, also going into all 12 rising signs. So make sure you watch for that. I will touch on it a little bit in this video, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it as I'm going to make another video going really deep into that energy and pulling up the charts on how I always do. So it is quite an interesting week. We have a lot of energy shifts. Now, coming into the week with all of this energy in Scorpio, on Monday, we are going to have the Sun enter Scorpio and Mercury enters Scorpio on the 22nd and forms a trine to Saturn. And then we have the Sun enter Scorpio on the 23rd, forming a trine to Saturn. And I feel like this is where we feel like it's go time. We can feel this energy, this push, this drive to go after something. And this is going to show up for all of us differently, whatever it is that you're currently moving through or getting going at this time, whether it is with work, your personal life, but whatever it is you've been kind of sitting on, rethinking, reevaluating, and just kind of sitting with, it's like now something clicks and you're like, okay, the time is now I want to move forward with this. And I feel like for the remainder of the month we're kind of moving through this, so where there's a lot of heavy energy with the eclipses. It's like if we utilize the Scorpio energy accordingly, we're able to really push forward with something, whatever it is that we're moving through. Now, also on Monday, we are going to have the moon in Aquarius form a square to Uranus. So Monday, we want to be watching for anxiety, panic attacks, especially if you already struggle with anxiety. I always kind of let you guys know when the moon is connecting to Uranus, because this is where Uranus ruling the electrical systems in our body and the moon being a significator of the body. It's where we can feel a little bit extra anxious. Now, this is also where we can be extremely sensitive to the energies and the frequencies around us. So protecting our energy, we should do this always, not just when the moon is connecting to Uranus. And I will also be looking into grounding products, because if you live in Canada, like me, and the weather is starting to get colder, it's a lot more difficult for us to get outside in the sun and get our feet on the earth. So I'm going to try some of these I guess they're not new, but they're new to me. I'm going to be trying these grounding products. There's grounding socks, mats, sheets. I'll let you all know how they work. If they do, I highly recommend maybe getting something like that, because it's so important for us to ground on a daily basis to balance the energy within our body. One more energy I want to mention before we move on to Tuesday is with this Scorpio. Now that we're in Scorpio season and we're moving through all this Scorpio energy, especially on Monday when we have the Sun forming a trine to Saturn, I highly recommend utilizing this day and time period to get things moving. When we have the Sun forming a trine to Saturn, this is really great energy. The Sun being our life force energy, our self-expression, our confidence, and Saturn being that commitment and dedication. And so I really recommend kind of utilizing this energy while we have it. Now, Scorpio season is a time to, like I kind of mentioned before, it's where we can really get to the bottom of something. We can really dig beneath the surface to figure something out. So where Scorpio season is a period of time of transformation, we can really bring that into our own life to transform something within our life through this transformational process. Like Scorpio represents death and rebirth. So it's just a time period that we really want to, throughout Scorpio season and having Mars, Mercury, and the Sun in Scorpio, especially for the next 2 weeks, we really want to utilize this time to transform something about ourselves or within our own life. Now, depending on where you have Scorpio in your birth chart, you can possibly utilize that energy in those areas of life. So where Scorpio gets a bad rep for being very dark, and, I like to use it for transformational purposes, and it does have this death and rebirth process. Now, Scorpio also rules the occult as well. So if you're into, tarot or whatever the case is, any type of that spiritual work, Scorpio is a very intuitive, receptive, spiritual energy. So this can also be a period of time where maybe you are deciding to become more spiritual or meditate more, raise your frequency, your vibration, or tap into those parts of yourself. And so you have supportive energy for that as well. Now on Tuesday, we have the moon entering Pisces and forming a conjunction to Saturn. And at this point, the sun is still going to be forming a trine to Saturn. Now, this is very early in the morning. So when we have conjunctions, it can be a mixed bag, and it really depends on the planets involved. And with Saturn, because Saturn can restrict things, and it really depends on if Saturn is your most malefic planet or not. But this is where there can be some emotional restriction, or your feeling is if you cannot express yourself in a certain way. However, this can also be an energy of really feeling like you're ready to do the thing. You're feeling like you're ready to dedicate yourself, commit yourself to moving forward with whatever it is that you're currently moving through. So it really can be a mixed bag, but we definitely want to talk about it because it is the moon. So it's our feelings, our emotions, our intuition, and it's Saturn. And also keep in mind, Saturn is getting ready to station direct, which we will be talking about in next week's forecast. And then on Wednesday, we are going to have the moon in Pisces form an opposition to Venus in Virgo. Now, I feel like this is a very interesting energy. Pisces being our energy and what we are feeling energetically, emotionally, and Venus in Virgo is what we're thinking we need to do or what we're thinking needs to be done either in a certain way or a particular fashion. And so I look at this opposition between Venus and the moon as conflicting energies with what you feel, what you think you need to do, and what you feel you want to do. It's like your feelings and your emotions against your mind, if that makes sense. And this is Wednesday, so something to just be mindful of. If you're at odds with thinking you need to do something in a certain way, but you're feeling like, no, I really want to do it in this way, that might be why it's that moon opposition to Venus. Wednesday evening, we're going to have the moon then form a conjunction to Neptune. And so this is where we can become extremely sensitive to the energies around us. This is great for spiritual work, intuition. Where this can become a little bit challenging is with discernment or confusion. So we do want to be mindful of that Wednesday evening. And then on Thursday, we will have the moon enter Aries. And this is really great for drive, and it's like this go-getter energy, moving forward with something, being ambitious, moving towards your goals, where we want to be mindful of this energy while the moon is in Aries is impulsiveness, anger, aggression, frustration. And so we want to make sure we're kind of utilizing the energy accordingly. I know for me, and actually I highly recommend keeping a a moon journal, because then you're able to see how you feel and navigate certain energies. You'll get to understand and know how, with the moon being in certain signs, how that really affects you energetically, emotionally, even your physical body. So for example, I've noticed that when the moon is in Aries, I can be a little bit more irritable. But Mars is my most malefic planet. So Mars and I don't get along, and Aries is a Mars ruled sign. So that would make sense. So for the 2.5 days that the moon is in Aries, I have to do extra grounding, extra meditation, so that I'm able to kind of stay calm, because I know this is a period of time where I don't have a lot of patience and I can be a little bit irritable. And so I do highly recommend having a moon journal, or even an astrological journal and tracking your transits, and especially when it has to do with the moon, because the moon moves the fastest. The moon moves through a sign every 2.5 days. So the moon is in constant movement and comes back to the same spot in the sky every 28 days or so. So I do highly recommend tracking tracking the moon in a moon journal, so that you're able to see how you move through these energies. Now on Friday, there's not too much going on. We have the moon just continuing to move through Aries. The moon will eventually form a conjunction to Chiron and the North Node. And then we also have a Mercury moving closer to Mars. So there can be something triggering on Friday, but there's not really any major astrological events. However, once we get into Saturday, we have a lot going on. Before the moon enters Taurus, getting ready for this lunar eclipse that we're going to have, we are going to have an opposition between Mars and Jupiter. Now, this is very significant and can be extremely powerful. Mars is very powerful in Scorpio, because Mars is at home in Scorpio, and then opposing Jupiter, the planet of expansion, Jupiter being retrograde. This is where I feel yes, we can feel these energies in our own individual lives, but I think we're definitely going to see something worldwide, the collective energies with this. And this is a time period where we can see something possibly explosive, right? It's Jupiter, it's Mars, and so we do want to be mindful of that. We may hear something on the news, social media, there may be an event that happens. It's scary, and I hate to have to say those things, but I do like to provide that guidance and awareness. So on this day, on Saturday, when we have that Mars Jupiter opposition right before, and there's going to be the opposition during the lunar eclipse as well. It just comes exact before we have the lunar eclipse. So it is an energy that we want to be a little bit mindful of. Now, eventually, a couple hours later, we're going to have the moon enter Taurus, getting ready for the lunar eclipse. And then a couple hours later, we will have the moon reach 5 degrees of Taurus, opposing the sun exactly at 5 degrees of Scorpio. And this lunar eclipse is the final eclipse we are having in Taurus. Now, these energies we've been moving through since November 2021, when we had our first lunar eclipse in Taurus, initiating us into these changes and massive shifts in our lives in the Taurus Scorpio areas of our life, of our birth chart. And so if you think back to changes you've been moving through since the end of 2021, there's a finalizing here. It's a full moon. It's a culmination point. This is where there can be something new coming in. It's like this final hurrah of, now I know what direction I want to move in these areas of life. I know what this journey is. So it's very significant. It's exciting. It's ruled by Venus. Now, of course, it's an eclipse. So eclipses can feel very heavy, very intense. But this is finalizing the energies that you've been moving through since the end of 2021. And to be honest, I find with eclipses, you feel this energy about a month before. And this is just what I've noticed through my own personal observation. So if you look at the Taurus Scorpio areas of your life, has anything kind of started for you that is new the last month or so? That's going to give you an idea of how this energy is showing up for you, and what this final hurrah is, and what this new direction is, but also a final understanding of the direction that you need to move in. And that's very much how this Taurus lunar eclipse is showing up for us. So October has been an interesting month because we had our solar eclipse in Libra and our final lunar eclipse in Taurus. So it's like this teeter-totter energy where we are entering this new cycle of Aries and Libra and the Aries Libra axis in our chart, and finalizing, ending, and completing a cycle in the Taurus Scorpio areas of our chart. So it's very interesting. Now, this lunar eclipse is ruled by Venus, and at the time of this eclipse, we will have Venus at 18 degrees of Virgo. So you want to check to see if you have any personal planets or points around that 18 degrees of Virgo, and yes, that 5 degrees of Taurus or Scorpio, or really any of the fixed signs, because you will feel this a lot more personally. But also, you want to check and see if you have any personal planets or points in Virgo around 18 degrees, because they can be triggered and activated by this lunar eclipse. Also, watch for the video that I will be posting about the lunar eclipse this week, getting into the chart for the lunar eclipse, and then also getting into all 12 rising signs. But I did just want to mention that. Now, also shortly after the lunar eclipse, we're going to have Mercury form a conjunction to Mars, while Mars is still forming the opposition to Jupiter. And so this is adding to that intense energy with the Mars-Jupiter opposition. Then we have Mercury forming a conjunction to Mars. So this is where we can hear something very dramatic, very intense, very powerful. Now, in our own individual lives, this is where there can be something showing up for us that we're having to balance out or address. Oppositions usually require a balance. There's balance required with oppositions. It's two planets trying to do something, and it doesn't always have to be challenging. It can just be a stop, a block, or a hold to something. So there may be something you're having to address. Maybe you're hearing something quite aggressive that you're having to address, move through. So it is a time period. I mean, not only with this lunar eclipse, but all this other energy kind of coinciding. So Saturday is a really big energy day, and I will talk more about this on my TikTok, because I go live every day actually. For anyone that wants to know how these energies are showing up in your birth chart, I go live on my TikTok every day. I offer $25 readings. I pull up your birth chart and take a look at the current transits taking place, so you're able to know the current energies that you're moving through, and also any activations. So it's like almost like a mini current energy reading. So if you're moving through anything, or you're wanting guidance or clarity on anything that you're moving through in the now, this reading can be beneficial, and I only offer it for $25. So if you want, check out my TikTok and you can join me live. But Saturday is a really big day energetically, and we just want to navigate with caution. Also, too, we have Venus approaching a trine to Uranus at the time. Venus is at 18 degrees, Uranus is at 21 degrees. So it's 3 degrees away, but it still is, it's a trine to me. I use about a 5-degree orb. So Venus ruling the lunar eclipse, forming a trine to Uranus, is another energy that can make this very chaotic, disruptive, explosive. It's a really intense energy, and I'm not trying to push fear at all. I believe that when we are aware of these energies, we can navigate them consciously and effectively. We need to know what's going on so that we can take accountability and responsibility for our energy and how we are going to move through and navigate the energies. Now, once we get into Sunday, we're going to have the moon form a conjunction to Uranus. We're going to have Venus move to 20 degrees, so move closer to that trine to Uranus. And we also have Mercury and Mars shifting to 12 degrees together. So on Sunday, we still have that Mercury-Mars conjunction, and we have at this point now a moon-Uranus conjunction trining Venus. So the intense energy does play into Sunday as well. So, and with the moon forming a conjunction to Uranus, that is what can make it a lot more unstable and a need to just kind of ground, take care of your energy. And again, I think that this is more going to play out collectively. I think that we will see a lot over the weekend, on this weekend, the 28th and 29th. I think we're going to see a lot of world events take place. So we do want to send love, light, and prayers out. I'm actually thinking about just starting to do like maybe a live once a week or something, and do a live meditation, because when we can all meditate at the same time, and if we can get people across the world, it helps raise the collective consciousness and the energy in the world. So, and I mean, you don't need a lot of people to do that either, and it can make an impact. So I am thinking about possibly doing something like that, or starting something like that. You can let me know in the comments below if you would be interested. But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe once a week doing a collective meditation, and everybody can just join. We'll meditate together. I'll have frequency music playing, and it can really help to bring light to what is not really light, but raise the energy and vibration to counteract some of this stuff that is going on in the world right now. So I do think that the 20th, 29th is going to be an intense period of time. So again, I send love and light to everyone in our own individual lives. This is where we just want to be taking care of our own energy. We want to be taking accountability and responsibility for our energy, what we are doing, our health. It is very important, especially coming into 2024, and I'm talking to myself as well, that we become extremely healthy and just take care of ourselves. And that looks different for all of us. Not one thing works for everyone. We are all different, and figuring out what you need on a daily basis to feel happy, whole, and complete is so important now and moving forward, because there's a lot of intense energy, and also too developing a spiritual practice. And if you are a light worker and you feel called to help the collective, now is the time to do that. There's no more sitting and waiting. And again, I'm talking to myself, and that's why this year has been just full forward movement with my business, and just getting myself online, not just doing it, behind the scenes, but just putting myself online more frequently on a daily basis and offering those messages. And there was healing that I had to do and things I had to overcome. I have a lot of 12th house energy, so I like to be behind the scenes a lot, and I had to really put myself out there and get over my fears. Yeah, so I don't know why I went on that rant. If I said it, I'm trusting that it's going to help somebody. That's how I kind of work with these energies and weekly forecasts. Well, in all my videos, if I'm saying something and I kind of just say what comes to me, I let my intuition take over. I trust that whatever comes out, somebody needs to hear. So thank you so much for joining me for another weekly forecast. Next week, we are going to have Venus form a trine to Uranus exact. We're going to have the Sun form an opposition to Jupiter. We're going to have Mercury form an opposition to Uranus. And then we are going to have Saturn stationing direct. So there is a lot going on, and I cannot wait to talk about Saturn stationing direct. So thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you watch for the lunar eclipse video forecast video that I will be uploading in just a short few days. And I will also be uploading my Halloween special, where I go into birth charts of, I'm not going to tell you because it's suspenseful. I want to keep the suspense going. But I can't wait to go through this energy, just so that you guys can see how certain energies can show up. And it also helps you kind of figure things out for yours. It helps you be able to put the pieces together and see how certain energies can manifest. So I can't wait for you guys to see that. I am hoping to have that uploaded by the 24th, exactly 1 week away from Halloween. And then I will also be uploading the lunar eclipse forecast. So I kind of rambled a bit of whatever at the end. But thank you all so much for joining me. I love connecting to all of you, and I will connect with you in the next one.